Tester. Okay, this is working. Okay, we're all
Rich, I
set.
think we need to move the the PowerPoint to this laptop
Come on.
because I don't know, this thing doesn't work.
How can it not work? Call that Mahal.
Yeah, because I think he's in the shark game, so
Okay.
he told me that this is going to shark game. So
Oh, it still doesn't work?
No, there's no signal. So that means it's from your.
No,
yeah,
no.
it's from
Where's it going? Tell me.
So this
guy.
goes to a splitter.
Where's the splitter?
The splitter is down there.
Where?
Here, this box right here.
This box.
Yeah, and then it splits the HDMI to a.
So why don't we just take the? Oh, we
No,
can't.
you cannot because the.
It goes to multiple guys. Did you just reset it? No.
I did reset it. I did reset it 2 times.
Because it was working right
Yeah, it was
now.
working for like
1
5
second.
minutes.
It does. Can you? Is this cable tight? This one?
Yeah, it could be that thing is loose too.
That looks pretty loose to me, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, no signal. Let me see. Maybe we. I have a USB. No, but that's a 2VGA. Not gonna work. Okay. Let's try one thing. So we'll try to use this for now.
Okay.
I just want to see if there's any signal coming in.
So mom is.
Oh,
want to get some
Jesus.
and I die.
Just want to
Gosh.
see if this I don't know which one's the problem.
Okay.
It could be a lot of things.
Oh,
Yeah, I think this is the
Oh,
problem.
here we go. Oh, yeah, you have it now.
Yeah, I think that's the adapters. Is that micro HDMI?
yes.
what is
yes,
that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, let me check if I have a.
Another one?
Yeah, I think I might have one.
I mean, you.
Yeah.
So it was
The connectors, yeah. The connectors. Let's see if I have some.
Darn. Because I hook it up to my TV at work, at home. Works perfectly.
The cable you mean?
Yeah, this cable. I mean, it's always connected. I use it all the time.
Is it loose or no?
No, I mean, it works fine.
Yeah, I know what you mean though.
I mean, I've been using it forever. I think it's just this box is sensitive.
But then his thing connected worked, right?
Oh, you want a display port to HDMI cable?
Yeah. Oh, you have one? Oh,
Oh, pretty good, man.
I have the Surface. That's how I do.
okay. Oh, you have Surface too? Okay,
Is
perfect.
that, oh, that's HDMI. Okay, yeah.
Testing, testing.
All right.
We are in good shape.
Do you need a
We
microphone?
already have got 2 viewers.
Do you need a microphone?
Yes, yes, yes. And see that it's got charged batteries. Because last time the batteries were not charged. Okay.
So my big data thing was, so I was asking about.
Good job.
Yeah. So it will have all these people there.
Hmm.
Get me the other laptop. Where is it? Yours.
I might leave early.
Okay.
That room is extremely cold.
I
Last
know.
week I was like suffering. I couldn't leave early because nobody is.
Mhm.
One for me and one for William.
I can believe this guy got me some tea. Indian chai.
Now you can go in and get cooled down. No, I'm not a. You want to take the laptop in and go or not?
I'm going to see it. Why do I need Hangout?
No, to make sure everything is working fine.
Okay.
I'm also here and also checking the
I think
same.
I can log in.
I think you will have to. It's not programs. He's not joined, but Dipti is joined.
Let me check if I can log in.
All these things were not available on the internet, and still I could do it without much problem.
Yeah.
You want to tell them about your TY classes? Some of them were asking about it. So, what is it going to be here for your high school and college crowd? Or
Well, can you tell them? Because I don't know too much about it.
what will you be teaching? You want me to tell them about it?
Because I'm just teaching one class, right?
Okay, maybe next class after that, or do you want
Okay,
to
next class is there. We got till December 8th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hello? Okay, so let's get started. I think we are all set from. Okay. Okay.
Bangalore student wants the link romal.gulla. Gulani.
Give me the.
VHU. Gulani.
Do you have the spelling?
Yeah. Let me just give it to Raj. He will take it down. Gulani.
Yeah. Hi, Raj here. Can you give me the email address and I'll just invite you in. ROMAL. Okay. 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 Just a minute. Just
Do you think I can add him in the Google Hangouts?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But next time I should figure out how to do that.
Otherwise, I can tell him to just join the YouTube.
Yeah. Go ahead. ROMAL. Yeah. Dot. Huh? B. Yes. Yes. U. Yeah. Okay. BHULA Ahmedabad. Delhi. N for New Delhi. Yeah. Okay. Romal.Bulani. Okay, it found you. Okay, you should have the invite in a few minutes. Okay, okay. Testing, testing. Okay. Okay, guys, let's get started.
Did log in, no? Oh my God, all these people asking for how do we
Okay. Okay, so let's get started.
join in?
So, you know,
He has to send it, right?
what we want to cover is
Yet to
negotiation.
everyone.
Negotiations is something that entrepreneur ends up doing
So
pretty
is
much
Raj getting this message?
right. The very first thing that he has to do is, you know, he's trying to raise some money, even if it's angel money from his family, friends, whatever. Already beginning your negotiation.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, good.
Then you start trying to get some space, you're negotiating.
Can
You
you?
bring in some co-founders, you're negotiating with them, right?
Yeah.
With employees, of course, you're negotiating. With vendors, you start negotiating. So basically, negotiation suddenly becomes a very critical part of, you know, how your company is going to evolve. Because, you know, once you start making commitments as a part of your negotiations process, you may even think that it's not negotiations, but it's really a negotiation if there was a back and forth and an agreement was struck at the end, right? So a lot of people do not have formal training on negotiation. I don't think I really had any formal training in negotiation till, you know, at Intel I was an employee, and since I was in marketing, basically Intel management felt that anybody who deals with customers should go through a formal negotiations course. So they put the entire marketing group, every salesperson at Intel also goes through this negotiation course, but they extended it to the marketing group. And so we went through this 2-day course called CARASS negotiating, KARASS negotiating, and he's regarded as one of the top people to teach negotiations. He also runs his workshops in San Francisco and pretty much all over the US in all the major cities. So at some point, I recommend that, you know, you go ahead and sign up for this course, even if it costs $1,000 or $2,000. You need to sign up for this course, because one of the things that they told us in this course is that, once you take this course, you'll earn back, no matter how much you put in, paid for the course, you'll earn it back probably within your first or the second negotiation that you do. And in fact, one of the things that I require all the students who take the course to go ahead and do some negotiations, and to kind of, at least earn back the $100 that you spent for this class by buying, when you're buying some clothes or you're buying some goods. A lot of people think that, everything is fixed price, but in reality, nothing is fixed price, and you can actually negotiate, things pretty much everywhere. So we'll talk a lot about different negotiating scenarios, and this is going to be actually a very fun class, because by the end of this, you should at least have the basics of negotiating under your belt, and you will see that, oh, I got out negotiated, when I did this, or I did not negotiate my job employment offer properly, or I did not negotiate my rent properly, or I did not negotiate, I did not negotiate with the cop when he was giving me the ticket. So all kinds of situations come up in real life, where if you are trained in negotiations, you'll have a much better outcome, and you'll understand what's going on. You'll understand what's going on inside your head, and you'll also understand what's going on inside the other parties, and then you'll end up with hopefully a win-win deal, which is where we want to end up wherever possible. So, we've got a formal presentation which we'll do afterwards. But first, I'd like to invite and introduce Nimish Mehta, who is a good friend, a TiE Charter member, serial entrepreneur, corporate executive, and over the last, I'm sure, 30 years, 40 years, 30 years, 40, 30 years, yeah. He's been through the whole gamut of, doing business, negotiating, etc. So he's going to help me, in delivering this negotiations class. And but first, I'd like to invite him to kind of introduce himself, and kind of tell us, share with us, if possible, 3 different negotiating scenarios that he might have been involved in his career. One which was a win-win deal, one which was a deal where he won, the other side lost, and what were the consequences, and the other one, last one, might be where the other side won and he lost, right? Okay, so Nimish, let me hook you up, and we have an audio problem? You sure?
Yeah, but it's not going across on any of the other cards.
They cannot hear us?
Just type.
Oh, that's better.
I'm using the USB device, and it's showing up here.
Yeah, I mean, it's showing up there too. When you speak,
Hello, hello, yeah? Should be showing up.
no, you click there too.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Now I guess you can hear me. So yeah, good evening, folks. My name is Nimish Mehta. I'm a charter member, as Raj pointed out, who's a good friend. And of course, we've done lots of stuff together. Most recently, we actually studied the Gita together. So that's my most recent thing. But in any case, so first, Raj asked me to give you a little background of what I've done and so forth, and then I'll give you some examples of negotiations that I've been involved with. And like Raj was saying, negotiation is not something you learn in school, and I don't know why they don't teach you this in school. They should. And so it's some things that you just learn on the job. After you lose a couple of them, you learn pretty quick. Okay. So we're going to use
Can you speak?
Okay, check.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear the other end or no? You're not able to hear even now? Okay. No sound coming. Okay. So.
Yeah, go ahead. You can.
Okay, there's no sound, but I guess you'll deal with it, huh? Okay.
This class you can hear.
Yeah, this starts with it. Okay, so I'll tell you a little bit about my background, and I'll tell you about the negotiation. Oh, we can. Okay. All right. So let's see. Like a lot of you folks, I grew up in India. I was born in India. I went to school there, which was defined as high school, well, all school, and then also my undergraduate. I was mostly in Delhi, in DPS and then IIT Delhi. The IIT I studied EE, electrical engineering, and then the very traditional journey came to the US, to Canada to study my master's degree in electrical engineering as well. And in my master's program, which was more on hardware design and so forth, I did lots of stuff. One of the things I did was invented multi-touch, the thing that, in your touch screen, when you touch the thing, right? What Apple now uses repeatedly. I should have patented back then. So second thing we should learn is how to patent your technology. In any case, so that was undergraduate. Then I came to the US and studied and worked in the Boston area. Met my wife there. Actually, we met at Shyam's house before we were even married, and so we've known him for a long time. In any case, that was the background, and then I went to business school, and then ended up at a small company, at the time small company, couple thousand people in Silicon Valley called Oracle. And it was, I joined marketing mostly because before that I was an engineering guy. I was in Bell Labs doing hardware design, chip design, that sort of thing. And I was very awkward, and I didn't understand. It was hard for me to even present to groups of people. It was hard to, if I had a TA ship, right, in a teaching assistantship, I would have trouble with I would have trouble with even speaking to the class, sort of thing, right? So that was my challenge. But in any case, I went to business school, and that sort of stuff went away. Went to Sloan School at MIT, and then when I went to Oracle, there were 7 guys in marketing, not just product marketing, all the marketing. There were 7 people. So it was obviously a very, very small company, relatively speaking. The company was growing, doubling every year for 11 years straight. And so it was a great ride. Lots of interesting moments in there. I can certainly talk about those. But at the time, the senior executives, most importantly, Larry Ellison, was very, very involved in the company. He was involved in every aspect of the company. It wasn't like he was sort of hands-off like he is now. He was there deciding small things like the paper or the documentation, right? What weight of the paper would be, what font, things like that, to that level of detail, right? And all the UI, everything was done. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun. That was so I started as a product manager there, mostly because I actually wanted to confront my fear. So when you grow up in India, I don't know those of you that did, there's always this sort of stigma against selling and marketing, right? Basically, you're like an engineer, so it's like a does that, what I realized was that's actually wrong. Actually, what you really need to know is how to sell. That's really important to know how to sell, because otherwise you can build all the cool stuff and you won't get anywhere. And so I decided the thing to do was just join marketing and then sales, ideally, to figure out how to do this. So I did. I did join marketing and realized that it's not so difficult, actually, as it seems to be. And second thing, it's actually a lot of fun. So that was sort of an interesting thing. And that led me into eventually, so I started as a product manager in the group of 7 marketing guys. But then lots of people now that are, doing well in the valley. Marketing up was a product manager at the time. As left here, Tom Siegel was in sales at the time. All sorts of people. They're all there basically at the time because the company was growing rapidly and doing well. So that then I got promoted at Oracle. I became a senior vice president, reporting to Larry. I got promoted repeatedly, and I ran a division to build industry applications. The hardest job I ever had in my life. It was really, really hard. That job was so hard because basically I was a PC product guy. I was doing products for the PC and growing systems. I was asked to build applications in 7 industries, and the industries were upstream oil and gas, aircraft engine repair, environmental health and safety, federal financials. So these are not things you can just sort of like apps you can build. You have to sort of learn. And the thing is, so we had to hire 700 people, none of which existed at Oracle because Oracle was a database, right? So you went out in the industry looking for people who knew how to build software to repair aircraft engines. I mean, it was like impossible. It was just, so we recruited 700 people in 18 months. At the same time, I started Oracle India. The first 7 guys in Oracle India. There were no people in India at the time from Oracle. So we started that division at the same time. So that was the thing, and then that the application division shipped software in all the industry. Quite a ride actually. I left that to in '98 because the valley was on fire. One of the lessons you've learned is when what Warren Buffett says, fear what others covet and covet what others fear. So I didn't learn that one. So I'm like, whoa, geez, this is a big thing going on, so I should join it. So I joined the rush, the gold rush, which is to join a startup as a CEO. It was a B2B.com company. It was we had raised $110 million at some ridiculous valuation. We were spending money like there was no tomorrow, and eventually there was no tomorrow. The company failed, which at the time I was pretty ashamed of. It was a difficult thing to talk about. Particularly, Oracle had done all the stuff, and now I joined this company, and the thing just went bust. In hindsight, what I've come to realize is that one of the most important learning experiences, right? You don't learn from successes because you don't know if a rising tide is lifting all boats. So a lot of people that float around saying, I did this, I did that. You don't look at it as them or the circumstance that made them so, right? It's very difficult to separate. And people have a tendency to, when they do well, they ascribe it to themselves. When they do badly, they ascribe it to the environment, right? It's always generally the case. So you just don't know. But when you fail and you introspect, you really go, okay, that was with me. So that was important. It was very important. So I did a second startup. And I'll talk about negotiation in the second one. This was a company, again, I was brought in as CEO. And this was in unstructured data management space. It was a fabulous team of people. Actually the best team I've ever worked with. Technical team is. We were building software for what is called knowledge management, which is one of those things that you like don't know why you want it. It's like one of those, it's like there's a bunch of these technologies out there that are like, so, and we talk about how 80% of the world's data is unstructured and it's in text form, and these people who database only do 20%, and they think that the 80% is not captured, and if you do all this, you can imagine how many. Look, nobody really cares about it. Okay? So harnessing Word documents is not that useful. And so, at least at the time, it wasn't that easy. So we kind of struggled for a while. That company had raised about $60 million, about $110 million valuation, and had a 2x participating preferred on top of it. Right. So I'll talk about negotiation of what we had to do there. So that was one thing. We eventually that company turned around, but it was just going on fast. I mean, that thing was, I'm like, okay, well, this is like number 2. So this is not a good thing. So, so we said, okay, what do we do? So we sat back, we looked at it, and we said, okay, how do we do this? And one of the things you realize is when you're in a situation, it's very difficult to step yourself out of the situation and look at it. So what I learned is, what you have to do is don't think of it as personal. Step yourself out and say, what should, think of yourself and your environment as a third party and say, if you're advising someone else, what should they do? What would they do in their world, in their life? And it divorces yourself from the personal sort of aspects of it actually helps in deciding. Right, so that was sort of the thing we did, and that company was then had a very successful exit, and again I'll describe what that was and so forth. But it didn't come without some pain. So that was that. Then I joined Siegel Systems and created a product called Master Data Management, which we then tried to work with a number of companies, including Visa and others on that one. That was a new category of software at Siegel. We created that was very successful. I joined SAP as a senior vice president and ran enterprise information management and created the first version of a thing called HANA, which is not very popular, so I think it was my team that did that. And now I run Luminata, sort of number 3. So this one is different in that it's actually a bootstrap company. It is bootstrapped with services. We do data strategy, data governance, data architecture, that sort of thing. When we started, it wasn't that popular. Now data seems to be the thing, so it's become a very successful company. It's obviously cash flow positive, growing rapidly, and more importantly, now I can sort of step back a little bit from it because it's sort of got a little rhythm of its own, so it's not doing its thing, which is nice. And because it's cash flow positive, although you always have the stress of making payroll, which is a difficult thing when you don't have VC funding to go back on. But the nice thing is you own the company. And I don't just mean financially it's interesting, it's also interesting from a point of view of owning your destiny. The stresses are different, but overall lesser than, if you have VCs and board members and all this stuff. So that's that's where we sort of ended up. This has been 7 years in this one. We also acquired a company along the way for a software product from prediction engines. And we have customers deployed on that. So we have it's a combination, it's a weird combination of services and software, something that people tell you cannot do, right? Generally, people will tell you can't do both, right? Yeah, I mean, broadly true, but I think it's true because the DNA of the people who start services firms tend not to be the DNA of the people who start product companies. But if you have both, you can do it. It's not a problem. Just you'll have trouble getting funding because VCs don't like services firms for the most part. But if you don't need the funding, then life is good. I mean, you have a slower path to growth, and you will be what recently a VC actually is interesting. So there's a lot of VCs now talking about this, the unicorns, and they call them unicorpses, because you would have marked down a number of them, right? So they're talking about how this is increasingly a potential issue because some of the startups are overvalued. And so what they talk about is cockroaches. This is interesting. I've never been called a cockroach before. So they say that when a nuclear bomb hits, the only thing that survives is a cockroach. So you should be like a cockroach. I get the metaphor about you should be cash flow positive and you should be able to survive through downturns, but I think the cockroach is a little bit, not extreme. There come up some other unicorns, nice and noisy than a cockroach. So that's but that said, that's what we do. We have a cash flow positive company that's growing and seems to be so far seems to be very well. So that's the background. Talking about negotiations, so there's a bunch of them. When Raj asked me to talk about win, lose, win, all this stuff, the thing I sort of had trouble with it because, if you go to negotiation and if the other person agrees too rapidly, I don't know what happens to you. You think, well, maybe I gave away too much. So to me, a good negotiation is where both sides kind of feel like you did okay, you did fine, but it wasn't like they got it all. That sort of thing, because both sides had a feeling you gave a little bit, but also you got a little bit, right? So that's my sort of thing. So I have lots of examples of these sort of negotiations, because when you go through these different jobs, you have to negotiate for jobs, some people negotiate for raises and stuff. But that, I haven't done much of that. That's sort of secondary. negotiate for deals, sales deals, important VCs, everything. One of them I'll talk about. So let's see. So this was sort of a I don't know who's going, but let me describe it. You can tell me what it is. Right. So essentially, this was this second company I was running. When I joined it, it had no business. It had no revenue. It was like zero revenue. It was this knowledge management thing, right? So great technology, fantastic technologies. So you know you have something, right? When you have 50, 60 people, of which 10, 15 are really rock stars, right? And so that each one of them has gone on to do wonderful things. At Google mostly, but other places. So when I looked at the company, right, that part seemed to be fun. In fact, more than fun, fantastic. The problem was that the financials didn't seem to be there. Because you had like a basically $110 million valuation on the company, with a 2x participating preferred. So basically, the first $220 million walks in the door, right, the guys wouldn't get anything at all. Right? And then after that, the VCs would participate with common. So, this was in the post-dot-com, the dot bust, right, basically. So then you look and go, okay, so look, I mean, I would sell the company $300-400 million for my team, me, but also my team, these guys, right, to make anything. That doesn't seem fair. It just seems wrong. And I get that we negotiate, the previous manager, whatever, that was the financing round, I get it, but it doesn't seem right, and it feels like they should, change the deal. So I approached the VC, they're like, no. Why would we change the deal? We signed, you signed it, or the previous guy signed it, so, there's the paper here, so we're not going to change it now. I'm like, well, it doesn't seem right. I think, anything should be a fair situation. If not fair, then the problem we're going to have is these guys are going to leave on you. Because there's a little company called Google who's growing like a weed, and they're all going to go there. Right? They're like, well, you can recruit more people. I'm like, no, it doesn't work. So I kind of sat it down and thought about, okay, so what is it that we can do here? Because it clearly was I was going to lose this, right? We thought, okay, so what do these people really want? Well, they want a successful company. That's easy, right? And so did we. What is my negotiation leverage? We thought, okay, so they own the company, so that's not much I can do about it. We have a signed, financing document. But ultimately, we have the ultimate power because we are all together. So if I can get a team together, right, and we go to them as one and say, look, you can have your company, you're right, you win, we lose, we're leaving. I mean, if all the management gets together and leaves, then they have nothing. And we knew that. And we knew that they knew that. So I got the team together and I said, guys, look, here's the thing, right? You can work your butt off, you can have the best product, we'll figure out a market segment. We did actually. It was called e-discovery for the lawyer, the legal relations. So we did that stuff. And the problem with this is that, so we did all this, we're getting momentum in this business, all this stuff. But then you have this other thing, and like, well, no matter how well I do, or these guys do, but I can get another job, that's fine. But how well these guys do, they're not going to make anything, that doesn't feel right. I don't care what the document says, it's just not fair. So I approached the board and said, we want to negotiate the terms and re-raise money and recapitalize the company. They're like, no way. And we're like, then we're leaving. So it was pretty tense. Lost a lot of friends in the process because a lot of friends had invested in the company. But my first responsibility was to the guys, to the team. It was also the customer, except we didn't have any, so that was not a problem. That was easy. Otherwise, it wasn't customer as well. But a few of the VCs came back in, Intel came back in, Intel Capital came back in, Mortgage Ventures came back in. And mostly those three. We raised $6 million with no preferences on it. I mean, preferences are wrong.
What happened to TX?
Invite you all up. Completely about that. Well, our point was this. We are not going to take this approach. It doesn't seem right. Because in any situation, it has to be fair. Both sides have to have some, it has to be where both of us can gain something with a significant amount of effort. Right? The circumstances have changed. If you don't want to change it, that's fine. You're right. So we'll just leave. And you can have your company. Because you own the assets, you own the IP, congratulations, you got it. And so ultimately, I don't know, it's a win-win, that's what it is. It's a win-lose in the sense that we won the negotiation for sure. And we raised $6 million, no preferences, because I don't give preferences.
What happened to the previous?
All that. All gone. To the right up.
And what happened to the existing?
You had a good exit.
They had a great exit, $130 million. So all the guys came back and all went like this.
No, at 130 you would have got nothing.
Yeah, right.
It would have been a complete waste.
Complete waste. Yeah.
And maybe would not even have negotiated for $130 million exit deal because you're not going to get anything.
Yeah, I mean, I would negotiate just to give the investors back something.
For that you're not going to work so hard.
Right. Correct. And
You're
the
not going to
people.
work hard just to make somebody else.
Correct. And
you were
the
the
people. Yeah. So I mean, it was sort of, you know, the people who lost in it were the previous investors. That's the one, right? The previous round lost.
But because they didn't come in.
But they had an opportunity to come back in. Everybody, by definition, of course, everyone had an opportunity to come back in, right? To reinvest. 3 of the guys came back in. A lot of the angels and stuff didn't come back in. You know, which is their choice. I mean, that's fine, right? So they didn't come back and we renegotiated everything. With a $6 million total capital in the company. The company was sold for 130. You know, everyone was fine. Yeah. So that was one. Yeah, that was a good one, I think.
I just didn't understand the part where you got in new investors.
Yeah. Well, the existing one that yeah. So what happened was we had Intel Capital, a bunch of VCs in there, including Intel Capital, Molius Ventures, and then Incutel, which is the venture arm of the CIA. They do a lot of investments in the those guys. And they basically, so they were investors in the company. When I saw this cap structure, right, it was sort of like, there was no way that this was going to make sense to any of the existing employees. That was the problem, right? Now, you could say logically, look, the financing structure was what it was. But my take on it is, but then I'm certainly not interested in this. It doesn't make any sense for me personally. It doesn't make sense for these guys. It's my responsibility to tell them it doesn't make sense for them. So a lot of these technical guys, the techies didn't understand this, right? They don't get this. They're like, oh, it's going to be great. Like, no, guys, it's not going to be great. Not for you, okay? And I don't want you to find out after the sale is done because I would feel bad about it. And so I felt the responsibility to them. That was the point. And so I basically went to all the investors and said, I'd like to renegotiate the terms of the investment, basically. And I want to raise some more money, but at a different valuation. At a 12 million post valuation versus a 100 something million. Right? And if you were an investor, of course, you're actually going to get lost. Right? That was the,
Yes. We asked the question.
Yeah. So the question is, did the management team stand by us? That's a level. So the thing, that's the answer is yes. And that is the thing I learned in the negotiation was, what do I care about? What is it that I have? And what am I going to give up? I did. Yeah, so I said, that the question was, did the management team stand by you? And that was the leverage, right? That was the question. So the answer is yes, the management team stood by us. And the leverage was that basically what we're trying to figure out is, what do I have as power? On surface, I had no power, right? Because the legal agreements were against me. There was no power. But the point is, I did actually have a lot of power. I don't believe in the team because we knew that we were the people. In a software company, there was no other assets. There was a software, but nobody else would take this thing and do anything with it because you wouldn't understand the code, right? So they'd sell the code for pennies on the dollar, right? So like, okay, so the alternative is selling the code as an asset sale, which will get them 100,000. I don't know what we'll get them. I don't even know. But so that was our position.
Yes.
So use the microphone.
Use the microphone.
Yeah. Yeah, the VCs can tell, okay,
Can you stand up?
then we can
Stand up.
get somebody from the management team. Because they can use that leverage.
Yeah. So when you negotiate like this, first of all, I was willing to walk away. Right. At the end of the day, I'm like, you know what, I can get a job. So I don't have an issue here. So I'll walk away. My issue was more to protect my team. It was that the thing. So my thing was, I went to my senior guys. There was about 8 of us, and I said, look, guys, this is a situation that I see. You see it differently, let's talk about it, right? And they're like, no, we see it the same way. Because you explain it to them, they go, yeah, of course, it makes sense. So we're like, then you have to be with me. You have to be one. Now, yes, they could bring someone else in, but the other guys weren't capable of running the show, right? And it's not so much CEO. CEO is almost not relevant in this case. It's a tech team, right? Because the code that has to be built up and refocused on e-discovery or whatever that time you do discovery. Someone has to do all that work, right? So like, who's going to do this? They don't know, the junior guys don't know the code. As it turns out, most everybody went behind us. The whole company went behind us, and we're one. So then it was game was over. Sorry.
Did the VCs have any leverage on pulling the money that they've already invested in you? It seems like, they didn't have any advantage. I mean, they had to sort of go by, the management's sort of decision.
So the point is, they didn't have any leverage pulling the money out, because when you invest like that, VCs don't have the right to pull money back out unless you see fraud. See, if you see fraud or some kind of a, that kind of behavior, that's different. But there was no such thing, right? There was no such, there was no fraud. We were just telling them, we don't see a future in the company from a financial outcome point of view, not from a business point of view, from a financial outcome point of view, because of this, the nature of the capitalization table, right, and the valuations, which were an outcome of the dot-com days. In the dot-com days, getting $100, $200 million valuation, no big deal, right? That was the point, right? But post-dot-com and dot-bus is a very big deal, right? So the companies that went through that cycle all had this issue, right? And so the question was just understanding what is the leverage point. And in this case, the leverage point we understood was us. That was the example of something where, sorry.
So,
Yeah.
So you mentioned that only 3 investors came back, and some of the angel investors.
No, then come back. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you pay them off? Like, how did you handle the original agreement with them?
We just thanked them for their time and appreciated all their effort.
All right.
We just said everyone's gone. So we just recapitalized completely. We said everyone's gone. We just said everyone's gone. We're starting again, guys. The assets go with the company, and the cap table is brand new.
Is that considered back to Series A, or it goes to the
Series
next?
A.
It's considered.
Yeah. We said it's Series A, it's a new company. So, a lot of times this sort of thing is like a bad, oh my God, capital. We're like, look, I don't care if it's good or bad. It's not the thing. I don't care about labels. I care about an outcome that's successful in the end. This is going nowhere, right? So forget this. Let's just do something that's successful in the end.
So the problem you were facing was the 2x participation thing, right? Not the valuation itself. You would have ideally wanted to keep that 110 million valuation.
No, actually, no. It was both, because the 110 million valuation also had, higher valuation is necessarily a good thing, because it depends on what terms it comes with. In this case, if you have 110 valuation with no participation even, right? So then they still take the first 110 that comes to the door, they take it. Right, so if I sold for 130, I'd have 20 left to divvy up with my team, right? Versus now we had 12 went to the VCs because of the 12 million valuation, right? And the rest was for the team, which is the VC, everybody participates, so it's much different. That was the reason. So there's one other example I'll give you, and I'll kind of, and this one is, yeah, sorry.
I'm still not clear why VCs were the 2x participated, why they would walk out without having the intellectual property rights or anything getting, did you buy it?
We offered them $100,000 for it.
Okay.
We said, we'll give you $100,000 for it. If you don't want it, we're leaving. And they said, fine. Take it. Yeah, they took it. Like,
So what are the cards they were missing on their side to negotiate back?
Wow, that's a great one. So I think they could have, what they didn't understand, and maybe it was just out of anger or whatever, they could have said, look, guys, we don't want to recapitalize the company because that's crazy.
You guys don't like the 2x valuation and you don't like the 110. How about you bring it down to 55? Right? Do something, meet me in the middle, right? And I think we would all say yes. And we put 6 million in, right? Bring this down to 55, something. I don't know what the number, because we're hypothesizing. But they could have understood that we were looking for a reasonable financial outcome, right? It wasn't that we were trying to be like spiteful or trying to prove how macho we were. Nothing of the sort. We're just saying this will make sense. And if you don't agree, then we're going to go all the way to square one and recapitalize. Instead, what you could have said is, okay, they want a financial outcome. Why don't we just give them something, right? Give them some kind of financial sort of assurance in the form of a slightly lower valuation. So we take a partial write down of the investment, and they would go, and we would have said yes, because it was such. This was acrimonious, right? I don't want to make it, and you just don't, it's not a good place to be, right?
How long was it before you had it?
After that point, that was in 3 years, or 3.5 years. Yeah. It's 3-4 years.
He's not interested in the company, and he doesn't think that it's really going to get
Yeah.
there. 3 years.
The other thing is, you have to believe in the new direction,
Exactly.
right? So the company was started as a B2C play on search, personalized search, right? At the time when nobody was doing personalized search. So you could argue big vision, all this stuff, right? Great. But no one's going to pay for it. There's no ad model at the time, all this stuff. So the thing is, we decided, well, this is not going to work. So we switched it to e-discovery. Now, if you're the guy that invested in the first round, right, you're looking at, what the hell is the e-discovery thing, which is for law firms. It turns out in hindsight, it's a very great market, but you also have to believe in the new vision, right? And I don't know, maybe some of those guys didn't believe. They didn't think the new vision was worth it or was going to work. So all those factors kind of mixing in, right? So that was, I think, the issue. Yeah.
So why did the first CEO sign the 2x?
Because it was done, only because it was done at a time when the dot-com boom was going on. And when the dot-com boom is going on, like it is now, right, you get valuations that are very high. And nobody thinks it's unreasonable, because that's what the market is doing. So fine, you take it. If you get it, you take it, right, at the time, because you don't know what's going to happen. Maybe you get acquired for 500 million at the time. I mean, it's difficult. Everything's good in hindsight, right? But when you're in the middle of it, it's difficult to predict. So he took it because he could get it. So he took it because it represents lower dilution, right? And if you think you can sell it for 500 million because the boom is going to keep going on. Remember, a lot of us in 98 thought this boom will not end, right? So we're like, hey, this is fine, so that is the reason, I think, mostly. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Last one, this one.
Well over time here.
Hello, my name is Simerjeet, and I wanted to check, why didn't you consider a management buyout rather than going to VCs?
Well, because first of all, the management didn't have any money, so that was a basic issue. So that's the basic problem.
Fair enough, that answers. Okay.
Also, we'd have to go to a PE firm, and they didn't know how to do it. The company didn't have enough assets. There's no revenue, there's nothing there, right? Okay, the second one was actually a little different one. This had to do with negotiating with a large firm at Lumen Data. So we had this prediction engine that I talked about. We acquired this, and we were trying to license it to a large company. And the company has a licensing arm that is responsible for bringing in technology into the company, because large companies have trouble ingesting technology, right? Because they're just big, and that's how it works. And they also have trouble if they have a good piece of technology to bring it to market. So large companies have all these internal things that go on, and that's true for SAP or Oracle or companies all over the world have this issue. Is my point. It's what somebody calls the curse of bigness. You get big because you're required to get big, right? Grow and grow and grow, and then it becomes a problem. Microsoft, you could argue, as that issue, right? So regardless, this thing. So we actually negotiated pretty hard. We actually did a license with a POC, very successful. We even got paid for the POC. That was really good, actually. And the team here was helping us significantly on that. And the thing that we negotiated, we wanted a licensing agreement where they would license the technology and sell it. And what we didn't understand is the dynamics of what the actual corporate people wanted. This is a German firm, and what they wanted. And this is a critical thing, because in these sort of corporate negotiations, right, particularly when the sizes are so different, Right? It's important. It's not just like the small company represents a risk. It's like, what are the things that these guys want at the individual level? What do these managers want? What successes are they looking for? What have they measured on, right? And if you don't understand that, it's very difficult to do these corporate deals. They just won't happen. And we tried pretty hard to figure that out, right? Like, what do these people, what are they measured on? What do they want? What is their internal metric for licensing? And we couldn't figure it out. And we went very far actually with it. We even took trips to Germany and all sorts of stuff. But in the end, we couldn't pull it off, even though every logical reason would tell you they should have this piece of technology in their portfolio as a licensed transactions. And the team here they have a small team here. They were telling us the same thing. Yeah, this makes total sense. Logically makes sense. This should be something they should do. But we couldn't pull it off mostly because of this. What I found is when you negotiate with a large company, it's not the company, it's the individuals that you're negotiating with, right? And if you don't understand their political motivations or their business motivations, what they're measured on, it's at the end of that level, or the division measured on, right? Then it's very difficult to pull off a licensing or any other acquisition even. It doesn't happen because there's a corporate strategy around that can help, but it's always the individual people that make the decision. And so that was one that we kind of understood it, but it's hard sometimes to penetrate into what those reasons are, because they put up a barrier, right? These companies don't freely tell you, oh, well, my personal goal is this, and this is how I'm measured, right? You don't understand that. So that was sort of one that I say, I wish we could have done differently. Could have been a good one. It deadlocked because we didn't, mostly because I consider, we didn't understand what their reasons were. They could have told us too. Deal never happened. So that was kind of one of those things, right? That it, yeah. It was not a hard thing. It just walked away because we couldn't understand. We didn't come to terms of why. It was sort of like, well, one day we decided we don't want to do it. Like, why? Right? We went so far with it. What happened? They're like, So we're like, we try to kind of dig into what was the reason. We can't figure it out. And I think it's because we couldn't understand their objectives clearly. So that was the one of the things that I consider a straight loss. So I think we've gone over time, but that's good. So I'm around if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, so hopefully, after we do some of these slides, we'll be able to reanalyze what happened to his deals, and maybe even give him a better outcome for his German deal. Okay, so basically, there's a ton of material when you go to start looking for entrepreneurship. So if you look at this tab on the portal, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of URLs. Each of them is an article, and it covers all kinds of things about habits of negotiators. How do you prepare for a negotiation? What should be the negotiations checklist? How do you negotiate with Chinese, Japanese, Germans, French, British, Americans, Indians? So, there are all kinds of cultural issues that come along when you negotiate. How do you negotiate? What are the right questions to ask? How do you negotiate a job offer? I recommend everybody read this article for sure. Getting into the competitor's head. So you'll see that, there's a whole bunch of articles that, I pulled together that I think will make wonderful reading. And I think the most important thing is to read it, assimilate it, and actually put it into practice. Because only if you practice negotiations, you're really going to make it a part of you. And if you and as an entrepreneur, guess what? You have to negotiate pretty much every day. You're negotiating every day, and if the negotiation skills are not a part of your weapons, then you're going to find that you're not doing the right thing for your own company, right, and for yourself, right? Okay, so that's reading material, and the next thing I want to kind of show is that in the portal we've got basically this presentation is there that I'm going to share, that we're going to go through, but there's also a video of the negotiations class that we did last year. And we had a very good guest speaker at that time too, guy called Shaukat Shamim. How many of you know him? But he's heck of a dealer, and he's a successful serial entrepreneur, and so on the course, and I think you'll learn a lot from his insights too. Okay. Okay, first I need to share this slide. So I'm going to share this entire screen. Share. Okay. So basically, I think it's based on Caddis negotiating, and his book. That's the title of his book. You get what you negotiate. And this is really true. And when I look at everything that happened in my life, my first home that I bought, I don't think I would have got it if I had not negotiated for it. My second home, I wouldn't have got it if I had not negotiated for it. He would not have got his exit package if Shamdas, if he had not negotiated. So if we had not negotiated properly, I would not have, we would have left hundreds of millions of dollars during our 2 IPOs that we did. Hundreds of millions of dollars. If you can imagine, just one negotiation, and it made a difference of at least $100 million for the company, right? So you can see that negotiations has actually played a lot of very important decisions for me, and actually it's for everybody. And for most people who are not trained in negotiation, what ends up happening is that you got out negotiated and you did not even know there was an opportunity to negotiate, because a lot of situations actually are negotiations where you created the negotiating situation. Do you think the VCs who are sitting there around the board that got this preferred, 2x preferred, and they'd hired, brought in this new CEO, did they think that, they were going to be dragged back to the negotiating table on a contract that, agreement that was already done? No, it was actually, Nimish who actually created the situation where essentially they had to come to the negotiating table. And finally, as you go through this, as we'll go through this, through these slides, you'll see that, he did a ton of things right in order to bring them to the negotiating table, and then to actually, negotiate a very complex negotiation, in my opinion. Must have been, very tough to negotiate And the fact is that, he did got a phenomenal outcome, in my opinion, for the people that decided to come with you, but also for the employees. About 100 employees probably walked away with some return for all the long hours that they put in, right? So basically, like, it's really, his negotiating skills that really ended up, but there was really no negotiation. The people that had invested the money and were sitting there on the board, and they did not think that there was a negotiation coming, right? And that's true for almost everything. For example, you know, this is, I'll tell you my first, yeah, I'll tell you the Selectica one because that was more exciting. Because, we were doing this IPO roadshow, right? And in the IPO roadshow, you have investment bankers and they basically give a certain valuation, proposed valuation for your company, and they put in the shares to these pension fund managers, and we want to extract the best value we can for lunch in Houston, then another tea, another meeting in